Hi, it's Rachel again. I seem to open every video with that greeting, but I'm filming another YouTube and I have lots to go over. And God, you hit record on this thing and then it's like all thought goes out of your brain and you just don't know what to say. So, um, let's see, what have I been doing? I did film a video 2 weeks ago, and I did a video on smalls and stuff that I'm binge watching, and not much has changed since the last video. I'm basically dyeing linen and packaging and ironing, and I had a very productive, busy week last week. This week, not so much. I did a lot of yardage last week. I had updated on my Instagram, and I was like, oh, I did 146 yards. I do this all alone, so for me, that's a big number. I don't know what other dyers do. I don't know how much they can produce in a week. Obviously, the big dye companies are really cranking out probably a lot more than that. I have no idea. I don't care. That was a lot for me. I was kind of impressed with myself. And so last Friday, that was as of Thursday, I think I posted. And so Friday, I was like, I'm going to get, I'm going to like set a record and get a lot done. And I think I did a batch of like 9 yards. And I was just like, I'm out. I'm done. I got burnout. So ran errands, got food for the Super Bowl. And I always get my kids, a box of chocolates for Valentine's Day. And decided I would continue working on the weekend. The weekend was not, I was just sluggish and tired, and decided to take Monday off, Valentine's Day. My son had no school, and so my kids were going to be home, and I thought, I'm going to put dinner in the crock pot, which I did. I did a pot roast in the crock pot. And I thought, I'm going to stitch all day. And I did get stitching time in over the weekend for Super Bowl. I did some stitching Saturday night, and I did some during the Super Bowl. And I was like, oh, I'm going to take Monday off and stitch all day, and dinner will be done, and it'll be great. And it didn't happen. It kind of happened. I got a little bit of stitching done, but I did work in the morning a little bit, and then just kid distractions. And I've had just all week, I have not been as productive as I normally am. I've had sick kids. I have a kid homesick today. We've had weird weather, dead battery on my car. It just, here's to next week. Hopefully it'll be, and this weekend. I really hope to be doing a lot this weekend. So I don't have much of an update. The last video was really fun to read the comments. I haven't replied to all of them, or even I have read them all. And I put in the title binge watching, so I can go back for reference. I talked about different YouTube people that other Flosstubes that I watch, and stuff I watch on streaming, and asked for suggestions. And a lot of people had great suggestions. Most of the Flosstube people that were mentioned, I do watch. I subscribe to a lot, and I watch a lot. I don't always go back and just rewatch. Some people post so often, I love watching Pam and Steph. It just keeps stitching. They post once a week. So sometimes by the time I watch their posted videos, just a couple days, and there's another one coming. So I never miss them. So I watch them, and don't tend to go back on their videos and rewatch and watch over and over and over and stuff, because they're just always there. So there were some good suggestions. There was a few YouTube channels that I still have to check out that I hadn't heard of or seen. So that'll be fun to go in and watch some of those. I get to watch a lot of stuff while I'm working on linens. A couple people said that they were thinking they might rewatch Dallas, which I'm all for. Message me. If you start watching it and you want to discuss what's going on, message me, because I'm still all into it. I'm doing that a lot on the weekends. A lot of people mention TV shows that I do watch. I think people that watch this probably um, maybe have a lot, and you watch YouTube that you have stuff in common with, um, people that have, things in common with you. And so a lot of people really mention things that I've watched all the series, and they're definitely on my list for ones to rewatch. So that's a good one for anybody to reference. If you're looking for something to watch, go back and read the comments on my video that says binge watching. And there's some great ideas on there. And I'll probably re-reference my own video and read the comments from time to time when I'm looking for something to throw on the TV and keep me occupied. Oh, one thing I was going to mention. Okay, so quite a few people said that they like binge watching, or they watch a lot of true crime stuff. I do watch a lot of true crime documentaries. I watch Investigation Discovery. I watch a lot of it, and I've seen so much of it that I kind of have to wait for new stuff to be premiered because I've seen everything, and that's not something I'll rewatch over and over. So I kind of go through spurts of watching true crime, and it's not for everybody. But I did want to mention sort of a crossover. One Flosstube YouTube video channel that I really enjoy is Stitching and True Crime with LaDonna and Tara. And I was going to tell you guys, if you're true crime watchers and you like cross stitch, they have a fantastic Flosstube channel. They don't have it. I was just watching, they posted this week a new one. I think they post about every 2 weeks. And what they do is they kind of go over their stitching, and at the end they talk about podcasts and TV shows and true crime stuff that they've been watching and following. They both work, and it sounds like they can, while they're working, listen to podcasts a lot, and then they watch stuff on, I have something in my eye. They can watch watch stuff. They can listen at work, and then they do watch stuff on Netflix and different places. So it's really fun, and it's a good one to reference. They do fantastic show notes. You always see LaDonna, she runs Sampling of Memories, the little cute little key fobs and stuff, which I have a whole list of stuff I'd love to get from her. Anyway, that was a side note. She keeps really great notes. So everything that they've talked about, you can go look in their show notes, and episodes they've referenced and podcasts and crimes and things. So that's you guys should go watch that if you're into true crime. They do sort of a Zoom format, but it's really good. It's very clear. There's not a lot of buffering. They have some cute stitching that they show, and they don't have a ton of, it doesn't mean a bunch of people don't watch you, because not everybody subscribes, but they're a fantastic Flosstube to go maybe catch up on and watch. And I watch every time they post. And when they posted this week, I actually went back and rewatched from the beginning again and rewatched all their stuff. So for those of you that commented on true crime, if you don't watch, I think it's Stitching and True Crime with LaDonna and Tara. Anyway, they have a fantastic Flosstube. So, okay. See, again, I always think I should write notes, and then I don't. And then I'm like, oh, I'll remember what I want to talk about. I'll get on here. So a couple more updates before we get into the stitching. I've had a couple of comments. I'm going to address something. I've only had 2, but I had 2 comments from people, messages or comments, that have said, can you not do, they were nice. Can you not do your business update at the beginning? Because I don't want to see that. I just want to see the stitching. Can you do it at the end? So I'm going to very kindly say no. And I'm going to explain myself. So stay with me. Part of the reason that I do the floss, I have 2 reasons why I'm doing Flosstube. Number 1, I started doing it as a way for my linen company, Needle and Flax, to show new colors, talk to customers, give updates, more of a way to get a message out. I do a lot of updating on Instagram, and of course there's information on my website, but it's just another venue to be able to quickly get out information, talk about new releases, that sort of thing. I also did it for the stitching part because I knew being busy with dyeing linens, I still want to continue my stitching. It keeps me wanting to try and make time for myself to stitch, to have something to show, and just to connect with people and talk with other stitchers. And I don't know, that's probably a bigger part of it than the business part. So I'd like to keep the business part short, but I have to do it because I have to do it first because it's in the back of my mind. There's stuff I want to get out, and I'm just not going to be relaxed showing the stitching and all of the fun stuff if I'm trying to rush through it to make sure that I get in the important information as well, right? So if I get the business part done first and the updates first, then I can just relax and do the fun part and show the stitching, and my mind's a little more clear. So, you know, that's kind of, for me, that's the way my mind works. Think of it like, it's like a mullet. It's business in the front, party in the rear. And that's just the way I got to do it. So on the business side, the front part of the mullet, we're going to go over that now. I have had an explosion of orders. So my wait time I have had posted as 4 to 6 weeks. I am most certainly at that 6-week point now. There may be some orders that wait longer than that. Let's see. Okay. I try to get my oldest orders out as quickly as possible. What I'm doing and what I've been doing this week, and I'm going to continue to do, is probably I am going to be filtering in a lot of the newer orders and really try to get out some of those small 1- and 2-piece orders, especially in commonly ordered colors. They're going to be filtered in with my older stuff and just try to get them out there to get that number of orders ticked down, which helps me mentally seeing my order number go out. That being said, Carol's Saltbox, Carol's last video, she mentioned me a lot in that last video, which was a little surprising. We're not in cahoots or anything, but she had some linens and she decided to compare some of my linens to other colors, and which really, I never thought of doing that. I don't have enough experience with over-dyed linens, and I love 40 count cream, right? So I've used a lot of Pictureless Plus, Weeks Dye Works. I've used Lakeside. I've used Seraphim. There are other dyers that I use and that I really enjoy, but I don't have enough of a reference point to say like, oh, this looks like, Tin Roof by Weeks or whatever. So she compared my linens a lot to Lakeside, which of course made my order number. I mean, last weekend, it was just like my phone was dinging and doom, 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 doom. And I was noticing, and I haven't pulled those orders yet or printed off those orders. They were big. They were really, really big. And I've also noticed in January and February, a lot of people are ordering whole yards. So it's going to take me a while to get through those. The supply chain issue is still an issue. I still can't add any 32 count. The distributors are out of it. Yesterday I was on the phone with multiple distributors. There's only so many places I can get Zweigart linen from here. And so I have accounts with most of them, I think, unless there's somebody I don't know about. But they're low. They're all out. They're out of 32 count still, and this week they ran out of 40 count. So on some of these orders, not only is there a problem because I'm backlogged, but there's going to be supply issues. I have enough right now to really chug through and keep going. I have an order, a linen delivery coming on Saturday, but there will be orders that are going to be waiting longer than normal, and there's some that are going to be waiting way less than the 4 weeks, especially those small ones. So you're welcome to ask me what's going on with your order. I don't tend to lose orders. So you do get an email when it ships, but I'm just warning you. You guys said you were willing to wait. My customer order number has gone through the roof. And again, the supplies are an issue. I jumped into this during this pandemic since the pandemic, there's been a lot of supply issues, and cross stitch has really gone through the roof. I think social media and YouTube and people staying at home and picking up, home crafts and things. I jumped in when supplies are scarce. So I didn't start with a big, inventory of base linen. And I think that, it just, I don't know why people just keep ordering. I don't know. It's getting more popular. I don't know why. So I'm getting busier and busier, and again, getting supplies is tough. So there's just going to be a wait, and there's nothing I can do. And you guys said before, you're willing to wait. So again, for anybody that's new, for anybody that just subscribed, if you don't know, if you order from me, there is going to be a long wait. If you follow me on Instagram, I try to update regularly on kind of what I'm working on or what I'm having issues with, and days that are, orders are going out, not going out, whatever, what shops are getting linen. If you order from me, you're going to have a very long wait. You will get it. You're basically getting in line and you're guaranteed to get what you want, but you may just be waiting a long time for it. If you are ordering for a specific project that you want to start quickly, try and find it at a shop. And I have a list of the shops on my website. I have a few more that I have to add to that. I have a lot of shops with orders in. I have shops that have ordered in December and I cannot fill them yet. So I gotta send some emails to a few people with orders in. But yeah, so I'm still, sending to shops, working on the customer, or there's a lot of customer, and they are big orders. When I say I have, if I have like 600 orders waiting for me to fill, an order is not always one piece. There can be 7 to 12 pieces on an order with different colors. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. So there is a wait. If you want it quickly, don't order from me. Don't order from me. If you want to make sure you're in line to get what you want, go ahead and order. You're just going to be waiting a while. And right now, I honestly don't know how long. We'll see. In the next couple of weeks, we'll see how much I can chug through and what's going on. But it's going to be all over the place. I think on Monday, I should have all orders out placed through like mid-January. January 10th to 15th, almost every order should be gone. But I've already been shipping orders from the end that were placed at the end of January that were smaller, and I had their colors dyed and they're going out. There's a lot of those going out today too. So you will get an email with confirmation when it ships. And yeah, I don't know. If you have questions, just email me. I'm usually pretty good at being able to answer emails. I keep my phone is always in my pocket. So a lot of times the way I can answer quickly is I get the notification, I look, I don't know why did I take typing in high school? Because this is all I do. I don't do this, I do this. That was a waste of time. Little did we know we'd be typing with our thumbs. So with the smartphone, I get, notifications, and I can, a lot of times, pull my phone out quickly, respond, and set it back down. And it's not as big of an interruption or a time suck as when I have to sit at my computer and go through all these emails. If you sent me an email and I haven't responded or whatever, I usually see them, but sometimes I get so many emails and they can get lost. So if you don't hear back from me, you can always just resend me one. And I think that's all I'll do on the business front, I think. I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff. Carol's video was fantastic. I don't know, she had some good points to make. She was talking about floss tubes and idolizing people and stuff. And every time I was like, I agree. I thought the same thing. She watched Brenda and the Serial Starter, Brenda and Laura's last video. It was like, I gotta watch it again. They had like a friend, like a personal type retreat with like, I don't know, 25, 30 people at the attic. And their last, if you didn't watch it, you've got to go watch it. I'm sure most of you have seen it. Their last video really wasn't their stitching or anything, but they showed, a lot of the stitchers that were at this little friend's retreat had brought their stitching with them, and so they kind of did a finish parade. Oh my God. They were fantastic. I mean, if there was an Academy Award for Flosstubes, that episode would get best episode. I mean, if you're one of those stitchers that stitch some of those pieces, bravo. Oh, fantastic. They were so fantastic. But Carol mentioned it and was like, man, you know, there's a lot of really great stitchers that don't do Flosstube, that don't, you know, people that do a Flosstube aren't necessarily the best or the most knowledgeable. And I think that all the time. I think that all the time. I think just some people choose to, for whatever reason, like I said before, for me, it was a little bit of business, but a lot of just chatting with other stitchers and keeping myself, you know, keeping myself stitching and, you know, something to kind of hold me accountable. So it's been fun, but just because you don't do one doesn't mean that you're not, you know, whatever. There's no popular crew. We're all popular. We're all cool. You know, we're all great stitchers. If you stitch Lizzie Kate, or if you stitch Hades, or, you know, if you're on Ada, 56 count linen, whatever, you know, we're all good. We're all good. So, you know, the only thing about doing a Flosstube is I think people just kind of maybe recognize you or know your name or get to know a little bit about you more. But Carol mentioned that too. And I was like, yeah, you know, I think that all the time. I love going on Instagram. There's some fantastic stitchers on there. And a lot of times I have customers say, oh, you know, I love my linen. I'm going to stitch this. I'm like, send me photos. I love seeing when stitchers send me pictures of stuff. I don't even care if they're stitching on my linen necessarily, but I love seeing the projects and stuff. Barry from Stitchfolk, I don't know if she watches this, but if you watch this, Barry, oh, she was at that like friend retreat and she decided to start Bridget Power by GGR. It is I have the chart, gorgeous sampler on one of my linens. I think she's doing it on Newport Beach. And she posted on Instagram her start. Oh my God. It is good. Oh my God, it's good. If you don't follow her on Instagram, it's just, I think her name is just Stitchfolk. And I love seeing what people pick because I don't know if I would have picked that for that one. I probably would have picked Dirty Teacup because that's my version of 40 count cream. But man, it looks good. I can't wait to see her post more on that because that's a good one. And that was a finish that somebody had at that friend's retreat, which was just, I don't remember everybody's names, but bravo. Oh, the lady that showed the Native American pieces, you know, they're not something that I would stitch or put, they were works of art. They were stunning. And whoever designed those patterns with the Indian, she had, I think, 2 Native American Indian men, and then there was one with like an eagle. Oh, I was like, oh my God, those are amazing and just stunningly beautiful. Stunning. A lot of samplers and a lot of Scarlet-Letter. So I'm going to do a Scarlet-Letter chart parade. This video, I've mentioned before that I wanted to do that. And I've had a lot of people be like, yeah, do the Scarlet-Letter one. So first I'll show you what I've been working on. I'll show you some haul. Like I said, Friday I kind of got a little bit of like burnout in a way. I was like, oh God, I got to step away from the linen. And all weekend I was on some kind of crazy, I went on like a buying spree. I was just like internet purchasing crap I don't need. Like, I don't know. I needed some mental therapy. Definitely since doing this, since I don't get as much stitch time, I have decided, because now I have a little extra money because I'm selling linen. And one of my goals also, besides just paying the mortgage and keeping the lights on from doing the linen, was to sort of build my stash, right? I am 46, which I just found out. My husband's birthday was in January, and I was talking to him about, he's 7 years older than me. So I was like, oh, how do you feel being, 54 or whatever? How does it feel? You feel any older today or whatever? I thought I was 47. And I said something to him and he goes, what? You don't know how old you are? I was like, how old am I? He's like, you're 46. You'll be 47 in March. I was like, oh my God, I gained a year. I don't know how long I've thought I was 47, but I'm only 46. So that being said, I've gained a year. And, at some point I will, the kids will be gone, and I'm going to be doing linen for a long time. I plan on doing it a long time. But at some point I'll have more time. And so for me right now, I think I'm just collecting charts. And, you never know when something's going to go out of print. It's a collection. It's way more than I will ever have time to stitch, but you never know what you're in the mood for, right? So I've been buying a lot of charts. Makes me feel good. I'm not stitching, but I'm buying. So I'll show you my haul first. I'm not going to show everything. I've gotten a couple of gifts too. A couple of people have sent me some great gift charts. Those will show up either as I stitch them or in some of my little, parades and stuff. And I'll mention that they were gifts, but I'm not really going to do like gift hauls and stuff. But thank you for anybody that has, passed on a chart, which I've had a couple. I think I've had 3 people send me charts, which was very fun. Such a fun surprise in the mail. But, okay, so on social media, all of the needlework market is the first weekend in March, which is always around my birthday. My birthday is March 7th. And so with my birthday money, I usually, I get a card with money from my mother-in-law. My parents are divorced. So one of those benefits is I get a gift from my dad and I get a gift from my mom. And, I'm an adult, so they send money. And so every year it's so fun. I take my birthday money and I usually buy all the market releases that I want, or with what's within my budget. This year my list is very long. And one of the first ones that showed previews, her video was fantastic, is Keysia Turnock. And I don't know if it was a year or 2 ago, she started doing, her own design. They're not reproduction samplers, but they're sampler style. I think she calls it CW samplers. I loved them, but again, on a budget, I would go through the market releases and kind of, not necessarily pick my top ones, but I would see, how much money do I have to play with and which ones do I want and which ones can I get later. So Keysia Turnock, this year, the ones that are coming out are, I'm buying them all. I've already pre-ordered them. I pre-ordered all of her books that she's releasing at market through Hobby House Needleworks. And I'm going to be pre-ordering some more also through Victorian Rose Needle Shop. I think those are the 2 shops that I'm going to do some market pre-orders. And then I'll buy some, later too. But her new ones are great. And so I watched her video and I was like, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on those. Well, her last, release of these samplers, I wanted them. But I didn't buy them because she has an Etsy shop. It's very easy to access her charts. She has some PDFs. She ships quickly. And so, when she released them and I ordered the year that she's released these or when she's released these, I'm always like, oh, I can get those, when I'm ready to start them, I'll buy them. And I didn't. So seeing her new releases, I'm like, oh, I got to go back and buy the ones that I wanted that she's released in the last year or 2. I don't know. It might have been the last market that they had in person where she released these great samplers because I didn't have them. And so I ordered directly from her Etsy and I'll show you all the charts that I got. And this is all I'm going to show you for my haul. I've got stuff coming like every day. I ordered not just cross stitch stuff, but I ordered seed packets for my garden. That ground is not going to be unfrozen for like 3 more months. Easy. But I got seeds coming. I ordered some decorating books. I ordered cross stitch stuff. I mean, now I'm feeling guilt because I think I went a little overboard with stuff that I just really don't need, but made me feel good. Okay, so the first chart of hers that I ordered was Land That I Love. Last year, everybody was doing this. And I'm definitely one of those stitchers that when something is really popular on the internet, a lot of times it kind of goes on the back burner. I love seeing it all, but I kind of don't want to always be stitching what every single person is stitching. So a lot of people were stitching this. I think this is one of my favorites I've ever seen of hers. It's just right up my alley. So This could be when I start in the summer. I'll do a like a patriotic parade at some point. This is Above All. I love that. When you look at her samplers, I mean, she really has a knack for the border. She has, I mean, she's an artist, so she's got a knack for everything. Somebody that does samplers that's not always reproductions is Stacey Nash. And I've always thought Stacey Nash is like the queen of these beautiful borders, which really always sucks me in. Teresa Kogut, she might be stealing that crown. And when you really look in, you know, kind of the focus of this one is this couple, which is really cute. But man, she is just, these like motifs and stuff that she does are just beautiful. You know, her color palette, I mean, I don't know. They're amazing. Amazing. And there's a lot of her patterns that are kind of full coverage, you know, heavy stitching, which I don't mind. I actually enjoy that sometimes, really thick, a lot of stitching in a sampler, but you just know that it's going to take a while. And so sometimes I don't always pick those up and stitch them, even though I really enjoy doing them. This one's really cute. And that's why, you know, I haven't really stitched Teresa Kogut yet. I've watched her for many years and I love her art. But this is Our Humble Homestead. Oh man, she's good. She is really good. She's an artist, you know, she's a pro. Okay, this one totally, when she released this one, really spoke to me because I'm a huge Lincoln fan. I love American history. I love patriotic. So that's Lincoln's Eagle. And this, if you don't have, this stuff is not, you know, it's the eagle and all of this, which is some heavy stitching. But that like beige behind it, that's just the linen. It's not fill-in. So it's a lot of white stitching. This is not going to be started anytime soon, but I'd love to see that on my wall. That's really pretty. You never know. You never know what you're in the mood for. Okay, so then I also got, I ordered these on the weekend, and I think I got them yesterday. Now, we're both in Michigan, so, you know, but they ship out really quick. CW Samplers, Heaven and Nature. So I think that's what she calls, like, her sampler line is CW's Creative Whims Samplers. This one's really pretty. And it's kind of Christmas theme, but I think you could leave this one up year-round. Because, you know, these are definitely Christmas trees. But, man, look at this, like, this border in here. Oh, that is so good. Bravo. I love when there's different, you know, there's a different border and then the dividing bands. Oh, man, that is a good sampler, too. And this was actually one of my favorites when it was released. And I didn't buy it because I knew it was big and I wouldn't be starting it anytime soon. But now I have it. Faith, Hope, Peace, Love. So, oh man, that is so good. Why do I always say that like that? I don't know. I'm always whispering to myself. When I do these videos, I tend to talk in the third person, which is weird because I don't do that. I don't do that in real life. And I do a lot of ugh and oh in the videos. I don't know. I don't know why I do this. I don't know. Anyway, it is what it is. So that's what I got from Teresa Kogut, and I ordered all of her new books, pre-market orders. Yesterday, I think the Brenda Gervais ones were shown. Those were adorable. Of course, Plum Street. I'm getting all of those, except for I don't do the animal stacks. Those don't appeal to me. Needle Made Designs. Oh, she's got a couple of great samplers coming out. There's 2 of those on my list. Erica Michaels has a gorgeous sampler, reproduction sampler. I think it's her first. They're coming out with some. I think today Kathy Barrick said that she and Liz Matthews are doing a video showing their releases. I always love some of the Kathy Barricks. And Liz Matthews is great too. I mean, they both have great releases, but Kathy Barrick is definitely one of my favorite designers. Yeah, there's some really good ones coming out. So I don't know. I'm going to be spending a lot more, but I got birthday money coming, so that's always fun. always fun. It's fun on, you know, that week before market and the couple weeks before, and then even like the couple weeks after when people start showing their haul and what they bought. And you can kind of see like what designs were really like the super popular knock it out of the park ones. And because there's always surprises in there. There's ones that you see and you go, oh, that one's, everybody's going to be doing that one. And then for some reason they don't. And it's going to be great. I can't wait to see Hands Across the Sea is going. Oh, that's another thing. See, I'm getting so excited. This is going to be like a long video. Nicola released, it's like, I think it's like 8:30 in the morning right now on Friday. She released a birthday sampler today. There was like a video. It's so good. I cannot wait to get my hands on that one. So Hands Across the Sea has one, but I know she's going to market. So there's going to be some releases of hers at market, which, you know, I buy them all. Queenstown Sampler has some gorgeous, I have a lot of her chart. I have not stitched her yet, but I have a lot of her charts. I'm going to have to do a chart parade of hers too. She's got some gorgeous reproduction samplers coming out. There's so many. I don't know. It'll be great. I love watching all the haul and, you know, what people get. Okay. So I did work on a couple samplers. Okay, so I said that I would be starting this soon, and I did. I gotta get moving because this is gonna be like a 2-hour video if I don't. And I got a lot of stuff to do. I gotta get to the post office. I got work to do. So I started Keysia Turnock, 1824 by Sassafras Samplers. I'm doing it in DMC on, I think I did this before. She has a middle photo. It's very fun. One thing I don't think I mentioned before, this antique, I'm gonna have to put now's the glasses time. She, the stitcher, this entire border is over 1. I don't mind over 1, but thankfully, Sassy Jacks, they charted it 2 ways. So if you're a purist, you can, I'm just going to flash the chart. They have it charted as over 1. But when you flip the book, they also have the chart where the border is done over 2. Okay. I'm doing it over 2. As much as I don't mind over 1, that would take forever. And I think that I would really hate that. So I'm doing the over 2. And I think most people are probably going to do the over 2. So anyway, I'm doing it on DMC and I'm doing it on Alcott, which could be my new favorite color that I have. No, it's not good. Dirty Teacup's my favorite. That's kind of my go-to. This is a good color though. As I was stitching on it, there's like 1,000,001 pieces that I know would be great on this color. So this is all I did. So I started the border, I started the lion. I don't know how to do this here. This is where her name is, this little like cartouche or whatever, and that is outlined in over 1, but it's actually done, I'm assuming it was like that on the antique, but it's 10 stitch. When I do over 1, I do full crosses. Unless it's really compact stitches, like if it's fill-in over 1, I will do 10 stitch, but especially for things like this, where it's like a single line or a name, I do full crosses. I'm not one of the ones that does 10 stitch, but this one actually called for 10 stitch. So yeah. So I didn't work on this long, so obviously it goes somewhat quick. The colors are just pretty. It's like black, green, mustard. I can't wait to get down to those, to the girls with the checkered dresses, and it's going to be fun. And it's not big at all, so I will continue to work on that every so often. Okay, so then I did a little bit of work on Anne Reiner. I'm not going to show you the chart. It's out of print. This, again, was a gift. Thank you, Deborah. One of the best gifts I've ever gotten. I am doing it on Dirty Teacup. And I had started it when I first got the chart in the mail. And it's very fun. I did work on this one during Super Bowl. I kind of hesitated a bit. Plum Street Samplers has a conversion that's much more deeper. She did it in silk. This is the original colors. When I started stitching a lot of the red, it uses 347, which is kind of a salmon-y kind of red. It's not like a real deep red. And I thought, oh God, I don't know. Do I want to deepen the red? You know, still use the original colors, but maybe deepen some of the colors on my own. So I put it away for a little bit because I was really thinking about it. And what I decided was no, because I do still want to do Sarah Stewart Hardman by Needlework Press, which is a similar sampler. And that one, the colors are a lot deeper. They're a lot more, they're more rich greens and reds and not quite as light and bright as this one. And I thought, they're similar samplers, so I'm gonna, you know, I don't want them to look that similar. So it'd kind of be nice to have this in the brighter colors, and then when I do Sarah Stewart Hardman, it will be more, there's gonna be a little more difference to it. So I picked it back up, continued with the DMC 347, and I'm just gonna do it in all the original colors. I'm not changing anything. So, and those old ones, they all call for DMC. So that calls for DMC. So last but not least, I knew I wanted to do my ScarletLetter chart parade because I'm basically a collector. I wouldn't say I'm a ScarletLetter, you know, real stitcher. So I decided on Monday, when I got a few hours that night with my crockpot dinner, to pick up one of my ScarletLetter works in progress. So this is one of my favorites. This is one that I would like to get done in the next decade, year or two. This is, well, I'll show you the chart first. See, now I'm really hoping these charts just have a little photo, so I'm hoping that these actually show up well when I do this, because yeah, I think so. So this is Mary Bailey 1818, and I love this sampler. And I started it maybe a year ago. I'm doing it on 36 count Antique Ivory by Zweigart in DMC. All ScarletLetters I'll probably do in DMC. I'm just not a huge silk person. I'm not opposed to it. I'm not saying I won't, you know, you won't see me stitching in silk, but I love DMC. And again, accessible, inexpensive. Okay, so here is Mary Bailey. It's, there's no specialty stitches other than the verses over one. So other than it just being large, I mean, look, it's pretty wide, it's pretty big. Other than it being large, this is not a hard sampler to work on. So I worked on the tree, I extended the fence a little, and I started, this grass goes all the way across. So this one I think I will work on quite a bit. If I get a chance to stitch, I'm trying to get some of these to where I have a lot of the fill-in work. Because if I get maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes, or I'm too tired, you know, filling in grass is going to be relatively simple to pick that up and not have to think, but make some progress. So that one I probably will still work on maybe a little bit this weekend if I get some time. So that's all that was my works in progress. Now I will show you some. I'm at 45 minutes. I have a sip of coffee. Hopefully you guys are drinking coffee or whatever, your beverage of choice. Okay, I have a couple of ScarletLetter works in progress starts. I have one finish. It's big. Hopefully I can get this all in the frame. It's this. That's my big ScarletLetter finish. It's all I've ever finished. It's out of print. Sorry, I know you're gonna be chomping at the bit for this little, you know, red and white sampler. It is called miniature sampler, 1805. It is out of print. It probably doesn't matter because, like, there's a bazillion little red and white samplers like this. It's not, you know, I'm sure nobody's going to be searching eBay for this. But that's my one finish. Yeah, can you see it all? It's amazing. It's letters. I do like having different size stuff, and for some reason I just picked this up. I did that in a couple days, if that. Okay. Yeah, so you too could stitch that. Okay, now you guys have seen this, one of the ones that I have been working on, and another one that it's very fun. Elizabeth Cheatham. It's very bright. It's kind of a newer, I don't know, 2019. It's one of her newer releases. This one I've worked on quite a bit in the last few months. Well, not quite a bit, but I've picked it up and I've shown it a couple of times. So it's, again, another big one. I don't even think this one has over one. I think it's all cross stitch. Well, cross and counted satin. So easy. Okay. So that's one of my whips, as they say. Another one that I have started, I have a bag I made myself. I love, I kind of collect vintagey fabric. I have a lot of old fabric and bark cloth and stuff. And someday I will make myself project bags out of it because I have no other use for it other than I like it. This is a very old one of hers, of Scarlet-Letter. And the reason I picked this is because it has my birthday on it. Not because I'm so in love with the design as much. This is the Fanny Hancock sampler. And it's just alphabets and, but she, let's see, Fanny Hancock. Okay, so she was born July 1st, 1785, but she finished this on March 7th, 1796. So anything that has a Rachel or a date, you know, that kind of sucks you in sometimes. So this is, I think it's Vintage Country Mocha. I haven't worked on this in a couple years. I haven't seen it in a couple years. So yeah, it's just little bands and alphabets, and I decided to start it because I thought it would be just so quick and easy, and it is, but I don't know, it'll be cute when it's up on my wall, but I wouldn't say it's anything that really rocked my world. So I gotta finish that. Okay, another one that it's not, I mean, it's a sort of start. It's just, I put some stitches in it just to kind of see the colors. The color palette's a little different than a lot of samplers I've stitched, and I think it's going to be nice. It's a lot of browns. This is, it's a lot of browns done by Sarah Brown. Sarah Brown, 1834. This is a memorial sampler. I really like memorial samplers. I don't know, I read different things about them. If you know, I'm not like a sampler expert, so don't listen to me, but I'm going to spout off anyway. I have a lot of sampler books and a lot of sampler history books, and so I've read a lot about it. I research, I pick them up a lot. I've seen different references to why memorial samplers were made. Usually it has, it memorializes somebody in their family that has died. One of the things that I have read, there's conflicting information when you read, books on sampler history, or when you watch interviews or people talk about them. And I think I've kind of decided on my own. I think it probably depends on the region, the country, or the time period, because I think reasons for doing sampler, there seems to be conflicting information on, how many girls were educated, why they were educated, who was educated, whether they were rich girls or poor girls or this or that. And memorial samplers, I've read a few different things about them. One of the things that I read that I found really interesting was it kind of became in fashion in the 1800s. A lot of these girls, and I can't remember where I read it because it was a long time ago. Some of them seem to be like they're memorializing like a sibling, someone that they knew, but there's a lot of them that also seem to memorialize maybe people that they didn't even know. And that's another thing. When you read about sampler history, some people say, they were never really displayed. They were put in a drawer. You read that they were, every girl did one, and it was you proudly displayed it because, different suitors or different men would see that your daughter had skills and, was a seamstress. And, I've read that silks were expensive and cottons were not easy to get because that didn't really come around until much later. And then some people say, silks were easy to get, I don't know. Okay, so there is conflicting information, and I think sometimes it might just be regional, what country it was done in. It might have been done for this reason. In America, samplers might have been done for that reason. In this area, there might have been more schools available. I think some of it's regional, but one thing I read about the memorial samplers is that sort of that obsession with death, and the memorial samplers kind of became very in vogue to have that stuff on your wall. And so that there were girls that might stitch these that weren't necessarily memorializing someone they were close to, but that would be what was in fashion at the time. So you might pick a sibling or a family member, maybe a sibling that passed before you were ever born, or a grandparent or a parent or an uncle or someone you didn't know. And it wasn't necessarily always that you were memorializing somebody that not that you didn't love them, but do you know what I'm saying? And then some, it really seems like you can tell it's somebody that was very connected to someone and wanted to memorialize them in a sampler. And Sarah Brown, she had this, Sarah Brown made this sampler to the memory of Joseph Brown, her brother, finished the 13th year of her age, 1834. I like the composition of this. It kind of spoke to me too. I have a brother named Joseph that passed away. And I'm going to keep it as Sarah Brown did, and I'm not putting personal stuff in there because I like doing what the girls did, but I kind of have that connection too. So at some point I'll do that. But it is very different colors. See, now I'm getting on a tangent, and I'm already at almost an hour. I haven't even showed all my charts. So I just wanted to get a couple stitches in to see the coloring. I think it's going to be pretty. I like having different colors. So yeah, this one seems like maybe Sarah Brown, maybe she was missing her brother and really had a connection to him. And you can tell there are some, where maybe they didn't know the person, and maybe it was sort of a, well, this is the cool thing to do. I'm going to do what all the other girls are doing. There's definitely time periods in history where, like even the Victorians and stuff had a real obsession with morbid things. And yeah, but I like memorial samplers, and I don't always look at them as being morbid. You didn't have photographs of people that passed away and stuff. And, now, like when we have friends or loved ones or whatever, we might have a little picture or a little something that they gave us. They didn't have as many material things, and they certainly didn't have photos. So how else would you kind of, I don't know, maybe have something that you walked by or had that kind of could, I don't know, make you remember somebody that you lost? So it kind of makes sense to me that you would do that, and it wouldn't be maybe as morbid as we look at it, as some people look at it today. I really like them. So I'm going to show you the charts. One thing, okay, so I have a lot of the charts. See, now I can't. ScarletLetter has been around for decades now. Decades. I think she started releasing samplers late 70s, early 80s. Definitely early 80s. She was hot in the, the 80s with the sampler stitchers, and just keeps cranking them out. So the catalog is huge. There is a lot of them that have been around since the 80s that she still has available on her website. It's scarlet-letter.com. She is a great place to order directly from. Ships very quick and has all the stuff on there. And it's just fun to go on that website too and look at all of the the reproduction she has. I think there's something for every kind of taste. She has them categorized by English and American and Quaker and Scottish. And so if you have a certain type you like, you can go in there and you can find something. You know, she's got Rhode Island samplers. And but she used to, and I wasn't stitching her samplers then, but I have ordered. She used to do a print catalog, and I still have some of them saved. And for me, it's fun. You know, she also did these like supplements to them as things came out. I wasn't stitching them, wasn't collecting them. Now I am. They're just so good. She doesn't do this print catalog anymore. You just got to go online. But there are these great color photos. So many of these are still available on her website. And what's great is the prices are pretty much the same. So you'll notice some of these samplers, her charting has evolved over the years. Some of them are sort of that old style, you know, really big and kind of clunky. I'll show you some of the new ones now. They're more like books. They're really nice, glossy paper. But a lot of the old ones are still, I mean, she has samplers on there that are like $7, $10, $12. Her new ones are more, I would say, along the lines of like Hands Across the Sea, you know, her printing, the way she prints them obviously costs a lot more. A lot of them are very big, and so the price range is big, but I think everybody could probably find something if you like samplers that you would want to stitch from her. And hopefully she'll be around for a very long time. But that's one reason the catalog is so huge. Now that I do stitch samplers, I am really trying to make sure that I get all of the Scarlet Letters that I may want to do one day when I'm retired, because again, I'm only 46. I feel like I've got another good 40 years. Easy. Another 40 years of stitching in me. So this one is Sarah M Downand. I think that one's super cute. Love that. Of course, I like a pastoral, and I like God, now the word has totally escaped me. Whatever, I like that kind of border. Oh my God, my brain, I tell you, it's fried. Okay, here's one. This is definitely a newer one, so I'll show you. Okay, this is Elizabeth Gray, 1832. I love the big building. I love everything about this. It's pastoral. It's got a fantastic border. It is huge. So her charts are now, you know, like booklet form, their color. They've really evolved. I mean, she really just, I don't know what year she did this one. It's not terribly, 2019. See, same year as Elizabeth Cheatham. This one's fantastic. That one, I'm never going to get all these done. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I like looking through them too. Okay. Some of these I'm just going to zip through real quick because I'm already at an hour. Okay, so I have Maria Tomlinson, 1814. Again, another big building. Love that. This one is 2018. Marianne Chamberlain. This is 2019. That one's really bright and fun. Love that. (1838) Elizabeth Masterson. This is a Scottish sampler that I love. 2018. She had some good ones coming out in 2018. Very busy. I like real heavy, busy looking samplers too. And that's kind of a different looking Scottish one. I mean, you know, they're all different from each other. This one is newer. This was 2020. This is one of her newest, Jane Moore. So I think, yeah, she still does. They're a color chart now. And she sells them as kits, or you can also just buy the chart. I think she used to only do kits, and now she does you know, you have options. This one is an older one. This one was when she was doing the booklets, and they are black and white, but they are the booklet form. This one was 2009. This is an original. She does have some originals. Let's see. The verse was taken from an early 19th century American sampler, and a late 18th century anonymous painting of an elegant house in Massachusetts. They merged the two into a cohesive design. A lot of the original designs, she does that. She takes elements from antique samplers that she has and turns them into a, you know, so it's not a reproduction, but it has reproduction pieces in it. They kind of marry. And this is called Simile. And I really like that. Big house. I like the lettering. I think this is one, I've never seen it stitched, but I think this one would, I think this would really be like kind of a stunner, or, you know. I don't, maybe if you've stitched it, send me a picture, because I've never seen that stitched, but I think it would be great. This is one of my favorites. This is an old one. Very old one. Let's see if it has the year she did this. 87. She was still doing the catalogs then. This is, okay, see, I'll show you. This is the fold-out monster, right? So this is old school. This is Sally Fisk. And that one is Sturbridge Village. This one's high up there for me to get. I feel like if you have a reproduction wall, I think Sally Fisk should probably be on it. She's kind of a classic. A classic, and one that a lot of people have stitched her. I mean, 87. Some of you probably weren't even born in 87. Okay, this is Anne Grimshaw. Everybody and their brother has been doing that the last few years. I would also love to do it. Another easy but big one. This would go in the behemoth category. I'm going to do one of those videos. Maybe I'll do that video next. Big samplers that I have not stitched. Okay, this one I had in my chart parade from before. This is Rebecca Robinson, Pennsylvania sampler. Honeysuckle border. Oh my God, it just came to me. I love a honeysuckle border. Rebecca Robinson. God. Sometimes. This is one where it's like a pull-out, right? It's like glossy paper and it kind of pulls out. So her charts have evolved over the years. So when you go through and you order them, you know, you're not always going to get the same, because she's been doing it for so long. They're all different. They're all different. And I don't know if she'll ever update the old ones. I don't see why she should. You know, this one is a Rhode Island sampler. This is booklet form again. Let's see, what year did she do this? 2010. This is Elizabeth Sheffield. This one, somebody may have stitched this at that retreat, the Friends retreat that they did and did the video. Maybe? I feel like, I don't know. There was a few Scarlet Letters on that video. So if you want to see some stitched that are just stunning, go watch Brenda and Laura's last video, because it's a, whew. This one is absolutely by far one of my favorites, and probably when I finish Mary Bailey, this is one that I will get going on. And this is Sarah Wilson, 1837. I think this is also just cross and satin, so that would be a real easy one. Okay, this one I don't know if I should show. This one, okay, so I ordered this one, I don't know, a couple years ago. It's Isabella Robeson. It is a Scottish sampler, and I ordered it directly from ScarletLetter. And when she sent it to me, the photo that she has on front, that's not Isabella Rose. This is a different Scottish sampler, which I would also love to stitch. I don't remember the name of her. This is Maria Robertson right here, but I ordered Elizabeth. So this will actually be funny. I can look online and see the photo, but I thought, well, this is going to be fun because I will be stitching it and be totally surprised at what colors and what's coming up. So I didn't even contact her. I thought, well, I don't care. Who cares? I'll stitch that and have a surprise waiting for me because I'll have no photo. Okay, Maria Teresa Wilkinson. I love this. I think someone on Instagram is stitching this right now, or I've seen somewhat recent. Somebody's working on this. I don't know who is. This one she did in 2005. That's the antique here. It's a very pretty, when it's stitched, it's really pretty. This is Grace Chemish. Chemish? Is this Scottish? Oh, it's English. No, it's English. This one, copyright 2018. Man, 2018 was a good year for Marsha Parker. I love the deer. Love the border. That's a very pretty one. This is Performed by Anne Parnell, 1799. This is English Quaker. I don't think I've seen this one stitched either, and I think that all those colors and that kind of busyness, it would be very pretty. Very pretty. This is another one Everybody and Their Brother has been stitching, and this was also a finish on that Brenda and Laura's last video, and it is, oh my god, this is Jane Atkinson. And I like that big. I think Carol Saltbox Stitcher, she has been working on this on and off for the last, I don't know, few months. I think she started at the end of last year. I like big fill-in stuff like that, so this seems like it would be really fun. This is 06, and I think this is another one that's kind of based. They're similar. Okay, it's based on an antique in the collection of the Victoria and Albert Museum, but it's not an exact reproduction. It doesn't matter. It's pretty. 106. Okay. Oh man, it's gonna take forever to upload too. I've just been chatty Cathy today. Susanna Parker, 1761. I love that one. I love that middle band. The colors are great. This was from 2018. Marsha Parker, you were on fire then. I mean, whew, 2018 was just a banner year. Let's see, Mary Ann Drott. This is an Irish sampler. I think, like I said before, I got a touch of the Irish in me, so anything Irish, usually. Irish and Scottish usually appeal to me. Mary Ann Drott, 1807. Very pretty. Cross Stitch Antiques also has a couple, I think, Irish samplers. Those don't seem as common to find reproduced. I don't know if they're as easy to find or as common when you buy antiques. I don't think so, because I buy antiques and I search around and watch the market for that stuff, and you don't see a lot of Irish samplers, or at least ones they can actually trace to Ireland. There probably is more than we know about. This one's 2004. This is Polly Phillip, and I think this is another one of the, yep, it's an inspired sampler. Inspired by elements found in a group of English samplers executed prior to 1772. So, Polly Phillip. That's another one that, try not to get reflection, that I would love to do. Kind of along the lines of a Jane Atkinson. Very brightly colored, a lot of fill-in. This one is Anne Smith. 1993. Oh, the year I got married. 1767. I like the border on this one. It's not big. And eyelet tent, stem, and double running easy stitches. Some of these do have a lot of, you know, some of them, if you're not into specialty stitches, you want to pass on. But they have a lot of beginner ones that are basic, that are just cross stitch. So they even have ones I'm sure you could do on Ada. There's a lot of simple ones on there, and a lot of real complicated ones, and some of those I stay away from. This one is a classic. A lot of people have done it. Nicole's Needlework, she did it like maybe a year or two ago. This was another finish on that Brenda and Laura video, Dorothy Walpole, which is beautiful. So, what do they say? Everybody should do a red sampler or a Bristol sampler, and I think that this could be one of those things that if you're a reproduction sampler person, at some point you may want that on your wall because it's a classic. Okay, so Dorothy Walpole, when you order that one, you also get, this is her daughter's sampler, and it's Mary Williams 1804. So this is Dorothy's daughter and the one that she stitched. So very much like, it's an Irish Quaker. Dorothy is also an Irish, here we go, another Irish sampler. If you stitch one, I feel like you should stitch the daughter. It's a better story. So sort of like Isabella and Ann Ufendell, or doing, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like you have to, you know, if you have sister samplers, or I feel like you should stitch both. It makes a better story. Anyway, another honeysuckle border. Sarah Siddall, 1818. That one's pretty. I think the border on that one's gonna suck me in. Oh, let's see, 1, 2, I got 5 more. Rebecca Morris, 1787. Whoop, whoop. Love that. That's a lot of over one writing. So this is from the Shelburne Museum in Shelburne, Vermont. That's the other thing when you do reproductions. Sometimes these are done from private owners, so there's no way that you would ever even be able to see the original. But a lot of these are owned by, you know, museums and stuff, and you could go see them, but they're never really, you know, they'll never be on the market for you to be able to find them or purchase them. And you know, stitching them is a way to have them in your house and have them out in the public. This one is actually, this is from 1984, and this is out of print. I know she doesn't sell this anymore, but this is the Mary Barron sampler. And if you like it, just put Mary Barron's on an eBay search, and I'm sure you can find it at some point. This is whoa! See, this one has like the chart that falls out. Lucretia Moss, 1832. This is American, and I will not be doing this anytime soon because it's got queen stitches. But I like the colors and composition of that. I'm not even trying to say this chick's name. Forget it. It's a Scottish sampler. And it's gorgeous. I love this this type of band on the Scottish samplers. I don't know what you call those, but they are cool. Anne Forrest, 1757, another Scottish one. I like the busyness of that, and I think stitched up in person, those colors would be pretty amazing. And last but not least, thank God, because this is getting long, Eleanor Holmes, 1817. And this was done in 2016. I don't know where this one's from. I don't know if this is English or, I don't know. I like that ship. So it's a lot of letters in the ship and a little over one. It has cut and drawn work around the edge of it. I don't think I'd do that. I would just stitch it and frame it. So that's it. I have a big list still of ones that I want to get, because you know I gotta collect for retirement when I have all this stitching time. So you will see definitely haul from Scarlet-Letter popping up for me quite often, because I have a lot that I would like to get and have in my collection and ready to go in case one day when I'm, you know, older and have a lot of time, I don't want to be like, oh, I need to get a hold of Dorothy Walpole, and you can't get it, right? So part of it is making sure that if something goes out of print and I want to stitch it, I'll have it. And if I don't, it'll be passed on someday to some other stitcher who will use it. So it's never a waste. Yeah, that's it. This is getting long. We're supposed to get snow this afternoon, this evening, so I got to finish my postage, get that to the post office. I'll still be posting stuff through the weekend. Some people had asked where their stuff, not where their stuff was, but where they were in the order. And I said, oh, you're in the next batch, but I have so much postage to get through. I'm not sure I'll get through. I'm not sure I'll get through them all. So if I told you yours is coming and it doesn't get posted today, it'll be going out Monday morning. And Monday, I'm definitely hitting the post office because I think Monday evening, afternoon into Tuesday, so far they're forecasting a bunch of snow. And if I can avoid driving on bad roads, I do. So beginning of next week, I think that Monday morning I may run out, get supplies, hit the post office, and then stay home for a few days during the bad weather and crummy roads, and just really hit the linen hard. If you have any questions, let me know. I rambled on, and hopefully I can do this again in 2 weeks, but watch my Instagram for updates. This is the end of the party. I should call this the mullet video, but no. I will put ScarletLetter on there so that you can reference it if you ever want to go back and watch ScarletLetter charts. So that's it, and I'll talk to you soon.